Welcome to Also Consider This, the podcast where we value nuance, perspective, and knowledge so that we can all be
also clever thinkers.
I am the second most famous Alastair on the podcasting scene.
And my name is Feng.
So, how often do you eat hawker food?
Okay, minimally at least once a week. I usually, because of the cost of living crisis that we are in right now, I try to stay home for most of my meals, but at least there will be a few times a week where I will try to go out and eat.
It's a necessity, so to speak, right?
Yeah, because you're at work, you can't be... Okay, because I have the luxury of staying near where I work, so I get to at home have lunch, then go to work and things like that.
Yeah, at least in Singapore's case, in the context of Singapore, it may not be actually very cost effective for an individual to cook for me, I think it's not worth it to cook my own meals. Because of the amount of time I spend prepping, going to supermarket or market, prepping the ingredients, cooking it badly, eating it, and then having to wash up after. I think that amount of time that I spend on prepping food, actually that time spent is not worth the effort.
And I think because hawker food is so accessible, right? That it is, even if let's say you live in a new estate, there's at least one
coffee shop nearby.
So it's like you can kind of have access to it.
Yes. Like our pre-recording meal today was bought from a coffee shop that's nearby, right? We are recording in a relatively new estate and there's coffee shops everywhere, more or less. And then we still have a very non-controversial, socially conscious enterprise hawker center around the corner. Ultimately, hawker culture, hawker food is part of our identity as Singaporeans. So I think it's something of cultural value to us. I think it speaks to us as a people. And when we return home, I think anyone worth their salt calling themselves a Singaporean would at some point want to have something from here. And then when they say something is from here, it's Singaporean food. That is hawker food.
It's like a USP of Singapore in some sense, where it's our unique selling point in a sense.
Like Lady Gaga, when she comes to Singapore,
she went to Maxwell
Market, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of us identifying ourselves. Whenever a celebrity comes to Singapore, it's like, oh, have you tried some form of hawker food somewhere? And we were also very proud when we said that we have certain hawkers who got Michelin stars.
And even the great Gordon Ramsay came and he also had to compete.
All the greats, like all the food celebrities, all have some say in our food.
And even
culture, right?
the late. I was just about to say Bourdain. Yeah. I think Bourdain to me can be considered one of the top few critics. And I think the way he looks at things is that he likes to look for stories, and he likes to look, because he's a writer, not just a chef, not just a food critic, but he's also a writer.
Yeah.
So he likes to look for stories that's behind the food.
Which is why he's very good friends with KF Seetoh. Because KF Seetoh, ultimately, if you listen to his interview with Yalabat, he's actually more of a storyteller of the hawker.
Which I think nicely segues to what we want to talk about today.
So on the topic of food reviews, right? What do you think about reviews for hawker food? Especially like things like Michelin Guide or influencers? Because it used to be just, what we used to have is like Makansutra. Before Makansutra, it was like newspapers. And then TV shows, right? It was back in the day, the TCS, now MediaCorp TV shows. Those were the early days, right? But these days, what about reviews for food these days?
It seems as though everybody can be a critic.
Yes.
Because it seems as though it's all over Instagram. It's all over social media. And social media, everybody that has a camera, or even not just a dedicated camera, is everybody with a phone can kind of sell themselves as a food critic. And then in that sense, it has made it more accessible to the everyman to be able to give his views about how the food is like. But at the same time, as a consumer, it seems as though sometimes everybody can say something and
nobody seems to be saying anything of any worth.
Yeah, okay, so you say that it's nice, it's not nice, then do I just...
Does it mean anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that impression with a lot of food influencers, or not say influencers. I wouldn't use that term because not everyone can be a key opinion leader. But for a lot of people who post reviews or opinions, I find that it's not. Some of them have depth, some of them don't.
Not trying to throw shade or whatever. It's just sometimes the reviews are just like it's not in depth, or it's just like telling me, oh, the food nice. Yeah.
I can guess why you have that feeling, because some of the sources of information that you search for on the internet, they are not necessarily reviews. If you ask the writers or the publications, they won't even admit that they are reviews to begin with.
Yeah.
So, like for example, Lady Iron Chef, that was a long time ago, right? Lady Iron
that
Chef,
was like
but Lady Iron Chef does not profess to be a reviewer. Lady Iron Chef is just trying to be a directory of sorts, so that when you search for something, he will appear in your search results. So he spent a lot of resources getting all his pages to number one on Google search results.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago, but that is one idea, right? They are not necessarily reviews. They are just directories, so to speak.
It's kind of like Yelp of Singapore, kind of in
Yelp,
that
but
sense.
curated to some extent.
Yeah.
So they don't actually tell you whether the food is good or bad. They don't tell you whether it's to their liking or not, or whether it's to they don't even tell you whether it's for a particular preference or otherwise. So I went on the internet and found this. There was this article that summarized what was happening.
Yeah.
So there's this TikToker called Lucas Neo. Okay. Lucas Neo he calls himself Lucas the Boss. He started reviewing hawkers in September, started posting videos. And he has quite an interesting starting point, which is that in the Michelin guide for Singapore, there are 148 hawker outlets listed, regardless of whether they have a Michelin star or a Big Gourmand or just listed there. So there are 148 stalls there. And he has already posted 50 odd reviews. And then he claims that he's not a food critic, he's not an expert, it's just his opinion.
He has a platform and he just wants to share what he thinks about food.
Yeah, but I think everyone, he's an insurance, he's an insurance agent, or he runs the insurance agency. So ultimately, content marketing is about you creating content to get people's attention. Here's the thing. He calls this series Exposing Michelin Hawkers.
Very sensationalized.
I think like what is there to expose? It's as if like some dark secret you gotta reveal. That's why it's exposing, right? It's like you're exposing a prince, right, of pedophilia, right? It basically because it's a dark secret. That's why you're exposing, right? So it really comes off as like you're letting off something dark.
Yeah, it sounds very what's that called? It's like optimized for SEO like that.
It's optimized for attention, definitely. And then of course there are some others who responded. Is this Zente, right?
Yeah.
So what did Zente say about it?
So sometimes he takes a deposit, but he will go down and try the food first. If the food is not to his liking, he will tell the store owner to say, okay, you can take back your the whatever amount that you have paid, then he will just let it go lah. I think his perspective is that yes, we have to review, but we don't have to say negative things lah, in a sense, because this is still their livelihood. Like, it's not a grave error in that sense lah.
It's not it's not like calling out people to be cancelled or whatever.
Yeah lah.
Right? There was another one that really put me off, which is the guy who talks about I think it's Kip Mentaya, which is the guy who he previously went quite viral for talking about costs of hawker food.
And I think what it takes to run a F&B business in Singapore.
And then he talks about rents. The previous topic that he was talking about was like the rents of F&B and things like that, right? So he went on a very, I would say, a foul-mouthed tirade about Lucas, saying that, who the F are you to say this, and who are you to expose these guys? These are guys,
they're honest people lah.
They're guys out for survival and things like that. And he's saying that we're losing enough, people are losing enough money, and we are losing hawkers already. There's no one taking over. Don't make it hard for people who are already working so hard in a tough job, right? So this is the background as to that triggered us to talk about this conversation. Should hawkers be up for opinions and reviews?
I think for me, it's that whether there was social media or not, hawkers had always been up for reviews, in the sense that there has always been word of mouth lah, recommending food.
I feel that we should be allowed to review and even critique hawkers. I feel that we should be allowed to have an opinion. We are not living in a society where people are not allowed to say what they feel. So why should we not allow people to speak of and review hawkers? Because there actually are positive forces when you put up a good review for a hawker. That's the reason why hawkers have photos of their previous newspaper articles. They put
they
clippings.
put where celebrities come and things like that lah.
Yes, and all these media, right, regardless of whether it's new social media, digital media, or old school newspapers and TV, right, is what they are there to do. The public service that they're trying to do is actually to get you to know of places. They should have a right of opinion, because if not, it would just be a listing on the yellow pages effectively. It would just be a listing or a name on the board. And what does it mean, right? Because if it's just a name on the board, actually you could just walk into a hawker center and just see what's available, and you don't even know what to expect.
Yeah, so we should be able to share about what we like about the hawkers that we have. And hawkers, I think they themselves also understand that they live and die by
people's opinions.
People's opinions, right? Because
like, I give an example. ieatishootipost, Dr. Leslie Tay. Okay, one of the recent stories that I heard, right? If you watch there's this video of Chef Kang's wonton noodle in Toa Payoh, and they talk about their origin story. So I used to have an office. I used to work in the office like right next to it, and it used to be a very quiet stall, good quality stuff, but nobody really knew about it. It's just
like
that people,
a hidden gem.
Yeah, that was a real hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
Yeah, because at the time we just eat at the canteen in the compound, and that store was really good. And then Dr. Leslie Tay came around, he made a review, and then the few days after that, he had the store didn't know who came in. They had a long queue, and he was asking the customers, hey, how come you guys are here today? And they said that, because we read this review by Dr. Leslie Tay, and he gave you a very raving review, and we are here to try. And this is a positive example of someone with a huge platform driving business to the stall. But I would say that, yes, he has a huge platform, he did that, but everybody has some sort of a platform. It's like people like us, right? We only have like 8 subscribers on YouTube. But if, let's say, we told our friends, sat around the table, and we told our friends, hey, this one time his store is good, right? We are also impacting that business. We are bringing another 2 people to the business, and that word of mouth effect happens too. It's just that our platform is a lot smaller. We only have 8 subscribers. So if you love us, please subscribe. Yeah. Okay. We are very vain, and we like vanity metrics. So please subscribe, because we are very vain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is this: everyone has a platform, and regardless of whether you have a highly followed social media account, it's just that whether yours is big or small. And if you are shutting up people with more followers, then you're also shutting up people with fewer followers. And that actually is somewhat of a disservice, I would argue, to anyone who has a business, regardless of whether you're a hawker or any other form of business. Because, having introductions to a business, isn't that better for everyone?
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of social media, last time was what? Newspaper like writings. They have a reporter, they have a food reviewer, food critic, or you have a photojournalist like KF Seetoh used to.
8 Days magazine.
Yeah. Right. So before social media came about, that was how it was like anyway. It's just that now, because of social media, anyone with some form of following can be able to bring attention to the hawkers that they like.
Yes. So I thought about this. Recently, there was a video by Casey Neistat, and his recent story is about AI slop. He said that in the past, right, media was very heavily gatekept. The gatekeeping was very tight.
Yeah, you need to be in the in group in order to do anything.
What it means, right, is that the squeezing of the quality that comes out and actually goes through, right? The general baseline quality is very high, because no TV station is going to give you any airtime if you produce rubbish.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to have a minimum standard of production before you are released to public.
That's why there's pilot episodes and stuff like that for shows.
But these days, social media doesn't have that gatekeeper anymore.
Because anybody and everybody can post and there's no restriction.
You can have some random dudes, right, putting some cameras up and the shitty light, right? And then you're posting it on YouTube. And talking nonsense, you put it on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is, the gatekeeping has gone down. Therefore, the amount of content has gone up. And the quality may not necessarily follow with that. Right? So the thing is that right now, because of this, so many people have the right to put in. And also, what happens next is the person that is mediating the quality for his own channel may not have the same level of mediation of their quality as the next person. Some people may feel that certain things that they've created, they'll just post it anyway. Some other podcasts may put out any episode where they just talk nonsense and they don't really care for the quality, just post it anyway. For us, we threw away one episode so far, right? Because we were very stuttery and we were basically talking nonsense out of our butts,
Yeah.
right? And we threw that episode away. Not everyone has that. So I feel that everyone should have a right to say something, right? If we don't have a right to say something, then what's the
point of social media?
What's the point of social media? And also, we are missing out a huge positive side of things where businesses which can benefit from people spreading the word to each other or discussing the word to each other have a say, right?
Yeah.
If I were to shut you up from doing a positive or negative review, isn't that the same as telling you to shut up at a coffee shop? But that's the extreme end of the scale. I'm just telling you to shut up, basically.
I think that was the danger of the cancel culture, right? Where it's like we just tell people to shut up and then that's the end. Then we are losing a lot of like...
Our favorite word, nuance.
Yeah.
We're losing a lot of nuance. We're losing a lot of in-between factors and all the contributing factors.
Because
and things like that.
it is easier to just... Once we hear something we do not like or we may not necessarily agree with, we just shut off.
Yep.
And we just tell people, okay, don't talk. I don't agree with you. Don't.
Yeah, get out of the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're cancelled, you're out of the door, we'll never see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things that will be missing if we shut people up. So, like, for example, if KF Seetoh has no right of say to talk about the hawkers, then he cannot share the stories of hawkers that he's met before.
And I think he has a true passion of the hawker culture.
Yep.
In that sense, I think we grew up listening to, watching him as a photojournalist, having his own show, then also appearing on Bourdain's, being a very good ambassador of Singapore hawker culture, I might add, that if let's say, because of what he has said to certain hawkers and certain hawkers don't like him and they have, let's say they have the financial clout to, let's say, sue his pants off, then we are losing a very good ambassador of hawker culture of Singapore.
Exactly, but not agreeing with him, right?
Yeah.
Does not mean that he has nothing of value to say.
Yes, exactly.
So we've been waxing lyrical about KF Seetoh and Makansutra, right? But there's one of my favorite stalls. I have a fundamental disagreement with him. So my favorite char kway teow stall is the Zion Road char kway teow.
And I know he doesn't really...
No, he did. Right? He wrote a good story about him. He has nice things to say about the guy. But he did not give him 6 chopsticks.
So the die must try.
The Makansutra scale is 1 to 6 chopsticks. Yeah. Right? Obviously, he doesn't... He personally does not put out 1 chopstick reviews. But most of the time, it's either 4, 5, 6 chopsticks. And for that stall, he put up 5 chopsticks out of 6. Right? I don't agree with it. It's my favorite, but I cannot take it personally, right? It's his opinion, right? He may have certain things that he may feel that may be a little bit better. What he said is of value because it turns out, right? I think it's through his writing that I found out that the Zion Road char kway teow stall uncle is a disciple of the char kway teow stall from Hill Street.
The OG
Hill Street char kway teow. And that one it's got a personal memory for me because my dad used to drag me unwillingly to go to a hawker center, the old Hill Street hawker center opposite Funan, next to the fire station. We used to go there and every week it's one plate of char kway teow there. It's hot, it's smoky, the place is, and all that. But because of that, it's also created the memory for me, and I have a personal
connection to that.
Yeah. They moved after that hawker center demolished, they moved. And sometimes the old uncle that used to fry the char kway teow was not there. There was one time he was like exported to London to go and fry char kway teow.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, I know that there's a younger disciple who took over that, who learned and is doing the similar output. That is really important to me. And I wouldn't have known if I didn't read his review.
Yep.
Right? And these stories matter. And therefore, so what if I disagree? Does it mean that
what he says is of lesser value
or wrong?
Yeah.
Is he wrong? He's not wrong. It's just an opinion, right?
Yeah, because food is subjective in that sense.
Yeah, and we shouldn't mix opinion with fact.
Yeah.
And therefore, I feel that, we should be allowed to review and critique hawkers. But I think there should be a limit. So here comes the problem. Which is what Lucas has shown is the huge problem, which is that of like negative reviews.
What he's trying to do is not fundamentally wrong. I think the spirit of what he's trying to do is that he wants to give an honest review, right? If it's like not good, then it's not good. Doesn't have to be everything you wax lyrical about the food. Like, wow, the food really good. Come down and try. But at the same time, what I kind of not get is the part where you
talk about exposing.
Yeah, the exposing part. Like, what is really there to expose about hawker? Like,
maybe this hawker
nice, not nice lah. Then
it's as if the way he used the word expose, right? It's as if the hawker dig something out of his butt and put it in the dish like that.
Yeah, like
it's like what, some insidious thing that you try to expose.
What are we actually implying by using words like that lah? And the sensationalizing of this, it doesn't really help anybody in that sense. And I think you also want to be able to feel good when like people do come to your store. But at the same time, you also don't want the hawkers to feel like, hey, if the critic come, sekali he say something bad, then
There was one example in Lucas's videos, right? He went to a store and then he claimed that the hawker came up to him and looked a bit nervous or a bit, I don't know what's the exact word, but he said nervous or a bit anxious or whatever, came up to him and said that, how is it today? Good. And then he said, good. Then the hawker was like, okay. Like, like, it's as if the person was put up for an exam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like it. I honestly, sometimes I also find that reviews are stupid because it's putting people up for pressure or that they don't necessarily need.
Yeah, and even I think some of the food critics on YouTube, they also did disclaim that, when we came today, we try not to bring all our big gear and stuff like that, and then we set up like the lights and stuff like that, because when we do that, then the hawker think that, they're going to be featured, then they will give us extra portion. So we usually tell our producer, go in, order already, then we start filming. Or they film like a distance away from where the store is so that the hawker don't kind of know like...
It's like the Food King special. You don't want them to, if Food King comes along, you don't want them to do the Food King special where they really do it perfectly.
Because of these negative connotations that it might come with like food reviews sometimes, that they don't want to feel being marked down or they'll mark because, this review give me 1 out of 3 stars. Then I jialat liao. Then
the pressure comes up with another response. It could be a positive response, which means that the really what you get is a Food King special. That dish of the day is the best cut of meat that goes onto the plate. Okay? That's the Food King special. But at the same time, people may get so frustrated, right, that they actually backlash.
Yeah.
That means they will end up saying that if you got nothing good, they will be very angry and very defensive and they say, if there's nothing good to say, you don't say it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I think, kind of becoming what this whole hoo-ha on social media is boiling down to.
But it's nothing new because if you recall during COVID, there was a Hawker SG, Save Hawker SG YouTube, Facebook group, which introduces hawkers so that people can do takeaways during COVID.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and the common refrain is somebody posts something nice, and then there are people who disagree. And when someone in the comment section says that it's not as nice as I used to enjoy it, the next response, especially from the admin, is to just say, if there's nothing nice to say, don't say.
Yeah, which to some extent, sometimes I do agree. Even, let's say I bring friends out, we go out. Remember, we sometimes go to Chom Chom. then we always had this very big
Oh, the red plate versus the green plate.
green plate thing.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there are days where the red plate is not as good. But we also don't shoot it down to the set that it's like it's
But that's because you are team red plate.
yeah.
Because I jokingly say that you don't know what you're eating and you're team red plate.
Yeah,
and then I will tell you that green plate is better.
Yeah.
And then what you say?
Yeah lah.
You don't know. You say I don't know what I'm doing. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that essentially these two plates of the same dish, the Hokkien Mee, right?
Yeah.
The green plate and the red plate are actually not the same thing.
Yeah.
They may have a similar name.
But it's also down to preference. I like the more seafoody broth. You like the more
Porky broth.
porky broth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like telling me which is your favorite like boy band guy. Your favorite
One Direction member.
Yeah, favorite One Direction member, your favorite Blackpink member. And all that.
Sorry if our references are a bit too old.
Yeah, but the thing is, there are people who have that preference,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean that it's not my preference. Doesn't mean that I should not say what I don't like, right?
True. But at the same time, I think the problem is that if we take it to the extreme, which is that like we say don't like, right? Then it kind of like condemns that thing to become like the most worthless thing that.
Isn't it right for somebody to tell you not to jump into a black hole? Like if let's say right, my review of this pavement is that there's a manhole cover that's not placed properly. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it's a very dangerous street.
Yep.
And you tell me nothing good to say, don't say. Okay? Then our friend Benny comes along and he walks along the pavement. I don't say a thing. Right? And he accidentally walks on the manhole cover, which looks dodgy, but not necessarily a bad thing. But he falls through the manhole cover because the manhole cover gives way. So is it me depriving him of a public service to say that this is actually not really good and you shouldn't do that way? I'm pushing this argument to the extreme.
Yeah.
But if let's say this is something that I feel that you won't like, and you wasted $5 and a meal and a horrible day with a bad meal, right? Shouldn't I be allowed to tell you maybe this is not really what you want? Shouldn't I tell you that maybe the other one is probably a better option?
I get your point on that. But sometimes the problem is that we can see certain negative reviews, right? They basically just give negative review like, not nice. Don't bother. I think of social media and the problem also is because of short form media, where our attention spans right now are getting like so short. Like even like a food review on like say YouTube Shorts, right? It's most 2 minutes.
Well, the first 3 seconds, if you don't get attention, you swipe already.
Yeah.
You see how people swipe up on TikTok.
Whereas in days gone by, when Makansutra, when KF Seetoh did, or even 8 days, when they do the whole report, you at least read through the whole thing to kind of see where is it going. Even like Dr. Leslie Tay, he doesn't just like take a photo, but he kind of describes like what he likes.
It's an article that's like 600, 700, 800 words long at the very least.
Yes. So that I think is the problem, where it's not that they don't have right to negative reviews, but some people, when they do negative reviews, like, don't bother, nah, that's it. And then they just like, cut. Then you don't even say, like, it's like constructive feedback. You don't even give constructive feedback. Then like,
yeah, because I've seen pages that say that it could be must eat, should eat, don't eat. You know, that's like the three tier scale, right? And it's like don't eat. Then sometimes they really put a don't eat, right? However, I feel that the don't eat sometimes it's just really, because sometimes the photo comes out, right? It really looks bad. And I feel that when, I'm sorry, as to some extent, right? If you are producing a product as a business, then you really also kind of live and die by your product as well, isn't it?
Okay.
Like if you have you cannot produce a bad product, serve that product with bad service in an environment that is not ideal, and then expect people to continue to patronize your business. And when people don't patronize your business, you blame it on the rent. Right? Because there is one particular business, right, that has recently shut down. And my first response is, it's not the rent. It's because your food is rubbish. Like in my mind, that's what I thought. I didn't go around telling people that the food is rubbish, but I cannot help but think that sometimes you really have to live and die by what you serve also, right? So if a review says it's rubbish, then and it has good reasons to say it's rubbish, then why should you just react negatively and be all defensive when maybe something is really wrong? Like let's say I serve a fish and chip shop, okay? I serve fish and chips at a Western food store and the fish is stale and I sell it for $4.50.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I be hiding behind the excuses that the fish is because I sell it at $4.50 in a hawker stall in a hawker center and I'm barely making enough money, so you should shut up about it.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're trying to say, because what you're trying to say, it is giving me a lot of like Kitchen Nightmare vibes. You know the reality TV show that Gordon Ramsay used to host?
Yeah.
So like he goes into like restaurants that are failing or dying. Then he like try to fix their business and stuff like that. Then sometimes he will like go.
He goes into the kitchen and then he finds that the open food packets, right, don't have labels of dates.
Yeah, or like basically the chef is actually not the chef. He's just a reheater guy, because the chef has already just comes in once a week, cook a whole big batch, and they freeze dry everything. Then they just take it out and microwave it to serve. Which is why like he will go around and like sometimes he will just like shout at the
what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
WTF, you know?
Yeah, like you have access. Like I think there was one episode where it's like you have like access to like the best farmers market. Why aren't you cooking local? You are like taking food from here and stuff like that. Then yeah, so I kind of get it in that sense that there is a need, but at the same time, sometimes why I feel also uncomfortable in that sense is that sometimes certain people when they critique food, right, they critique from such a armchair kind of.
You mean do you mean they come from a negative space?
Yeah.
That means they are really out to hurt.
Yeah.
Yes, I find that it matters where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So I feel that the intentions of a reviewer matter. In the sense that if you are going to be a negative critic, there are a few ways around it. The first way to say is, this is not my preference. Okay? So like the Hokkien Mee example we had just now, the green versus red plate, right? Really, honestly, is the red plate very bad? Actually, in objective terms, if you ask 10 people, I think 9 of them will say it's not. 9 of them will give a not bad, or 10 of them will, or all 10 of them even will tell you it's a not bad or above level.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe some of them, the ones who say not bad, who don't really give the most raving review, say that it's not my preference. Because genuinely, you can have a preference for something else, which is, in my case, I prefer a broth that is less prawny and more bone brothy.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore, I prefer a different style. Right? It's an interpretation issue. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean that it's really bad.
Yeah.
Right? And I have on occasion, because one store is closed, I patronize the other store.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think the intentions really matter very much.
Correct.
Right? Even if you were to put out a really, really negative review, okay, I would say that intention also matters. Because let's say I put out a super negative review, right? But what if my negative review is on food safety? What if I told you, hey, this guy doesn't wash his hands and he touches the meat? Is that something that should not be published? But my intention is really from a good place, right? Let's say I told the hawker, hey, you shouldn't be touching your butt, then go and touch the meat. But he waves me away and tells me that, mind your own bloody business. So when I mind my own bloody business, I post a negative review. Am I in the wrong? Right? I think that intention really matters. I think you need to intend to do something good. Like the review may be negative, but the intention has to be positive. I feel that really matters to me.
In the recent few months, I also did hear like KF Seetoh on Yalabat and stuff like that. I think he talks about the hawker culture and how he feels. My takeaway after listening to him is that because he is so passionate about hawker food, and if let's say as a Singaporean we are passionate about our food, it's also part of our national duty in that sense that we kind of have to QC the food in some sense. So it's like,
It is of national interest that hawker food is good food.
yeah.
I think that's quite straightforward to
Yeah.
say.
So in that sense is that if your intention comes from the fact that, yeah, I want good food to be highlighted. And but at the same time, that's why I have certain reservations, which is like, if the food is not that great, is there really a need to just, like some of the other people who go out and say is there really a need to, let's say he hasn't offended in terms of like food safety and stuff like that. He's doing an okay plate of food, it's edible and stuff like that. Is there really a need to like just condemn that?
No,
that
I
store?
still feel that even though you may not like it, I don't think you need to condemn it. I would say perhaps one other way to put it is try and think of who may enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Like just back to that same example of the Hokkien Mee, right? I know I won't like it, but I know of certain people who really like a good seafood stock based off something. Like a good good plate of noodles that were simmered in very rich seafood broth. Like you, go for it. Right? But it's just not me. So therefore I will have to say that it's just not me. Right? I think it's that kind of nuance that some people haven't really gotten very aware of.
And coming back to the point that I made earlier, which is sometimes because of the nature of social media and because sensationalizing kind of get your clicks and get your views and get people's eyeballs onto your content, is that as a content creator is that, yeah, you kind of give in to that sensationalizing things for the sake of your survival. But at the same time, because as viewers, as people who consume the content, is that should we actually give in to these? Because by viewing it, we kind of feed the algo. And
I feel yes, but the thing is that you can win today, but you will not win in the long run. So people,
like who, the content creator? Or?
Yes, and even the content creator, you may just win the audience for today. You may win the views for today, but I don't think you will get it in the long run. In the sense that Dr. Leslie Tay, for example, his blog has been running for 20 years, I think.
Yeah, I think since the first 5D.
Like since the internet had blogger came out, right? He's been writing for so long. And he has kept at it, and he's still considered an authority in the space.
Yeah.
Right? KF Seetoh also, because he's out to tell very interesting stories, has got the reputation, and he has earned the platform to meet very interesting people, to talk about very interesting things, to campaign on hawker issues. It's because they have done things that really are coming from a genuine place, and that's why I feel that that level of genuine positivity, that authenticity to a cause, to serve the reader, I think that is the most important. Because why do I say that? Also because when you look at the Lucas new content, I find that he's just out to get attention for himself also. When he talks about 7 out of 10 is just something that I can get by, something I eat, you put in my mouth, and I'll eat it.
It feels very, I don't know, it feels a bit
can
like...
you imagine your parents told you, right, I see you as a 7 out of 10 kid because I don't mind seeing you again tomorrow.
It feels a bit condescending kind of.
Yeah. And then you are 8 out of 10 kid. Can you imagine your parents telling you are 8 out of 10 kid because I would like to see you again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's what I said, right? 8 out of 10 is something that I want to eat a second mouth of.
And I think coming back to KF Seetoh is because I think his recent appearance on Yalapat, it kind of really opened my eyes to him in terms of I don't think he's just a food critic. But he's not just like a food reviewer or food critic or like purveyor of nice food, but he really lives and breathes hawker culture in that sense.
Because of the stories that he tells.
Yeah. And like sometimes when he talks about the hawker, and sometimes the hawker doesn't really care because of his intention. The hawker doesn't really care whether is it 4 chopsticks, 5 chopsticks, or 6 chopsticks, or even sometimes
They're not too bothered, most of them. And there are some episodes where he happily would film from a long distance away. Like he would like take the camera away. I think if you watch the old TV shows, he would take the camera away, he would eat, he would enjoy his food, and then he'll move along. He'll talk about the food, then he'll move along. He doesn't need to like draw attention to himself or make a big show of himself, because the story is not him.
Yeah.
He's a storyteller, but the story is not him.
Yeah, it's not about him reviewing the food, or even like it's not KF Seetoh's approval, but rather because this food is genuinely good, and me as a person, I just want to bring it to the masses.
Yeah, because ultimately, I think he is making money out of it, yes, but that is not his starting point. His starting point, you can tell the time has shown, the time has told that he is there to tell stories. And to the point where he doesn't even sell the Makansutra guy anymore.
Yeah, now it's free.
Yeah. So it's really about the stories. And he has other ways to monetize his business.
Yeah, and coming back to also Dr. Tay, I think Dr. Tay also kind of all these people that comes from a good space, or a good starting point, that time will tell, people will tell, then, and even the people you critique will tell. Because if, let's say, you give not so good a review to somebody, they are able to take it with some
Grace.
Because you come from a good place. Because if your intention is to harm, or your intention is to draw attention to yourself or to sensationalize it, then it kind of doesn't even serve the greater cause.
I have a great example for this. It goes back to Chef Kang's Wanton Noodle again. So Chef Kang's Wanton Noodle lost their Michelin beep. There was 1 year they didn't get a Michelin beep. And the guys who were running it were very affected by it, right? Does it mean the Michelin guy is there to create sensationalism? No, because their reviewers are even secret identity, right? Yeah. But they were really concerned why they didn't retain their beep, and they went and they surveyed customers, they asked customers questions, they tested out suppliers. They didn't like the supplier that they had. They tested out suppliers and they found a new supplier. They tweaked their output and they got it again. Yeah. And business is still roaring, right? I think it's a very bright example of how hawker culture is, positively impacted by reviews, and it's just that the reviews must come from a good place and they're not just there to be sponsored. If it's all purely about making money for the influencer, right, then I think something is not right. And I think viewer, you can judge for yourself. Yeah. And ultimately, the proof of the pudding is in eating it.
Yeah, it's like, because I guess sometimes if you are able to frame a review, even if you frame a negative review well, it will kind of still, if let's say if you're a store owner, you can kind of look at it from a different perspective, is that if the person is able to do it with grace and with a certain, I don't know how else to frame it, like class in that sense. You critique in a classy way, that it will still generate enough interest for people who say that maybe not so nice, but I'm still curious. Let me go down and try. Is it really like that? Or maybe like this chicken rice, not the...
Is it because the chicken is a bit dry because I just took the breast and then the way they do it, the breast may be a bit dry feeling?
Yeah, then like, I will still go down and give it a try. Then I will, like you say, like the proof is in the tasting, right? So I really go down and taste, not good.
Yeah. So that's why I would say, in conclusion, we should not reject negative reviews. Ultimately, we should take them as they are, and what's most important is the intentions of the reviewer need to be positive. Get more people to try. Maybe there's something to tweak, right? Things like that, and we will have a more vibrant hawker culture, and it will be here to stay, because ultimately it only lives because we feed the culture, and the culture will feed us.
So yeah, we should not reject negative reviews, but we should always see it from what are the reviewers' intentions in that sense.
Yeah. So that is the nuance that we talk about when we talk about also consider this, where we value that nuanced perspective.
Yeah.
So what have you learned recently or today?
I think for me is that I was always very fascinated by this piece of tech. So the tech that we are actually talking about is Shazam, not the DC hero, but the Shazam that I'm talking about is the app that I think it was bought over by Apple in 2017, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so they first started as a company that they were on they exploded because of the iPhone. I think even before they were on iPhone, they have a phone service in the US. So people call, then they play the song over the phone. Then
I
they
never knew about that one.
Yeah, I also didn't know until I went to search, because I was just searching how does Shazam. I was curious, so I went to find out how does Shazam actually work. So then they actually told me about the whole history that they actually developed this technology way back in the early 2000s. Some engineer by the name of Avery Wang, then he had this idea of maybe I can identify songs. So Shazam identifies songs using this thing called audio fingerprinting. So it's actually quite a clever process where they kind of find a digital signature. It's kind of it's like a fingerprinting like that. So it's fingerprint is it's unique to the individual, right? So it's to certain songs there's a certain
pattern.
It's there's a certain fingerprint to the waveform and stuff like that. So it kind of see the whole song's frequency and its frequency spectrum. Then it kind of picks up certain unique parts of that song. So let's say for example,
how about the most relevant one, Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve.
Yeah, so there's this
you don't get the reference, do you?
Yeah, not really.
A woman was caught Shazamming Bittersweet Symphony at a Oasis gig because Richard Ashcroft was the warm-up act.
Oh.
You know that song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we cannot post here for copyright reasons, but it's a very famous song, especially if you are
It's there's this
orchestral sample throughout, right?
Yeah.
And basically she Shazammed that song during the gig. Yeah, back to the point.
Yeah.
She and people are laughing because if you're at the gig, there's a 99% chance you would know the song. It's just that there was a 1% that went to Shazam the song in the gig and someone filmed her Shazamming the song.
So you see, if you use the app, right? So it says identifying. So it kind of listens to the song for a set amount of time.
The sample that you provide.
Yeah, sample that you provide. So it's basically looking for certain prominent features in that song and their notes, which is frequency, at what time that frequency is being played, and how is it relative to other, let's say, high frequencies. So in relation to other notes, for example. Then all these things kind of forms this unique fingerprint of that song. Then because they sample a lot of songs at once, so it goes into a database, then they'll scan. So by probability, this is that song that's most probably related to this fingerprint. Then that's how they churn out that.
So if you give it the exact recording and you feed it back, it will be very fast.
Yeah.
Because that's why sometimes Shazam now is very fast. Because you Shazam something that's coming out of a restaurant speaker, for example.
Yeah.
They're playing something in the background.
That's why it also doesn't really need a very high fidelity. You don't sometimes Shazam, you don't need to put it next to the speaker. You can be in a cafe, oh, what song is this? Then
it's good to have.
Yeah.
But the speaker proximity is a good to have.
Yeah. So it's because they are able to see that whole thing in relation to other things. So it doesn't really need it doesn't really need a very good fidelity sample to begin with. So this audio fingerprinting, it's how they actually go about doing it. So when they first started, basically I think they used a not toll-free, I think it's a paid service. So you pick up the phone, you call their phone line, and they just play a clip from it. Then they will then churn out the result. Then they'll SMS you back the thing in the early 2000s before the app. But when the app space exploded when
Store moment.
the App Store moment, then they really came to the fore because like they had like an instant feedback kind of thing, and the internet basically allowed them to really become the company that they are today. So that is kind of interesting because it kind of combines science, like the engineering side of things, and like sound and like sonic engineering, and then like it's like a coalescing of so many things. The App Store moment, the usage of like very basic theoretical application of like sound, and then and engineering, and then like how the internet came about, then it really exploded to become like, it becomes like such a
It's a very magical thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
when we first used it, it's like, wow, so cool.
it's like witchcraft.
Yeah. But there is just the scientific basis behind it. It's like, actually, it's so simple, but because the timing in which everything came together, it just exploded lah.
But it still does not excuse you from not knowing a song you should know. And
If
then,
you are at a Oasis gig.
yeah, you should not. Come on, if you are an Oasis gig and Richard Ashcroft comes along, it's kind of
So besides Shazam, what did you learn
okay.
this week?
So I learned recently of not Checkpoint Charlie per se, okay, but when you say Checkpoint Charlie, because last week you talked about the NATO phonetic alphabet, right?
Yeah.
So it's A, B, and C, right?
Yeah.
So it's Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie.
So the most famous one is Checkpoint Charlie.
The famous checkpoint in Berlin is Checkpoint Charlie. It's still a tourist site to visit today, right? So Checkpoint Charlie, if you ever have a chance to go to Berlin, is basically a checkpoint that demarcates a place where you can go from East Berlin to West Berlin or vice versa, right? Because after World War II, Germany was split into 4 zones: the American zone, the UK, the British zone,
the French and
zone,
then the Russians.
the Soviet zone.
The Soviet.
And then within Berlin, which is in East Germany, Berlin itself has another split of 4 zones.
Yeah.
So that's why there's East Berlin and West Berlin, right? So when you are there at Checkpoint Charlie, the point is that it is a historical location where people tried to cross over, things like that. But it's a historical landmark in Berlin to remind people of its past, of
the Cold War.
Of the Cold War and the divided Berlin.
Yeah.
Now, you think of Checkpoint Charlie, but where is Checkpoint Alpha and Bravo?
I think,
okay.
if I remember, let me make a guess. I think it's on the western side of it. That's why it was never really talked about.
Okay, so the reason why Checkpoint Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie exist is because there are 3 borders to cross if you want to enter from West Germany into East Berlin.
As in all the way in West Germany.
Yes, yeah. Let's say you're coming from somewhere in West Germany. You want to go to Berlin.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first checkpoint you will see is Checkpoint Alpha. Checkpoint Alpha is in this location called Heimstedt. Checkpoint Alpha exists because it is the first border crossing. You will leave West Germany to enter East Germany.
So it's in that border.
Yes, it's the border of West and East Germany, because there is a right to access for the western side of Germany to access West Berlin, because they are the same country. So therefore, the arrangement is that if you were to go to West Berlin by road, you need to cross Checkpoint Alpha to go from West Germany to East Germany. And thereafter, you drive along a motorway, an autobahn, and you will go to Checkpoint Bravo. Checkpoint Bravo is at the border between West Berlin and the wider East German area. So once you cross Checkpoint Alpha, you will basically be in a very precarious position. You make sure you drive carefully and get to Checkpoint Bravo, because Checkpoint Alpha will talk to Checkpoint Bravo to know that these vehicles have crossed and are going towards you. And then you have to report that you've arrived safely at Checkpoint Bravo, and you will be in West German territory again on the Berlin side. So therefore, A, B, and C. C means you are re-entering East Germany again on the Berlin side. So that's why it's Checkpoint Alpha, Checkpoint Bravo, Checkpoint Charlie.
So it's like a straight line kind of thing.
Effectively, if you draw a train line, it's a straight line, right? It's if you draw graphically Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, leaving West Germany, entering East Germany, then from East Germany entering West Berlin. There's Alpha, Bravo. And then Charlie is between West and East Berlin within the city itself. So therefore, you have ABC, right? The reason how I found out is because obviously YouTube serves me very interesting content. The channel's called Mind the Map, and the video title is The Riskiest Route to West Berlin, Transit Through the Soviet Sector Explained. Right? That is a secondary source. The primary source is there's actually a video by the British military police that explains how to cross properly.
Is it an archival footage kind of thing?
Yes, it's old footage. So they actually link that video that they sourced the information from. They also linked it in their description.
Right.
Yeah, so they actually use some of the footage from the original video in their video to explain what's happening.
I see.
Yeah, so basically you have to watch this video first to know what to expect, because it explains things like what if you break down, what if you see an East German policeman, what to expect, if you see a Russian, what to expect. And then one of the things they tell you not to do is don't ever speak Russian, even if you know how to speak Russian. No Russian. Because I think it's to ensure that people cross safely.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me of another crossing that is still present today. I think it's between Estonia and Russia, because certain parts of Estonia is like, because it has to go into Russian territory, because there's like an exclave of some sort. So in order to cross that, you have to, there's this like straight road that cuts into Russian territory. But so that like, so they have like 2 watchtowers that were like, see, so it kind of feels like that sense. So it's like they will tell you that if you ever had to cross, because you're going back from your country into Russian territory, then going back to Estonia again. So yeah, it's a Tom Scott video actually. Then he actually did that. This one is southeast of Estonia. So there's like 800 meters of road where you can drive through Russia. So it's like you're supposed to like, it's like Estonia to Estonia, but you bypass, because it's like Russia kind of like, there's like this, there's this like protruding out of Russian land, but because you're still in the same town, so they built the road. It's like, so because of that, they have like 2 watchtowers to see whether you have crossed and stuff like that. Then they put a lot of signs to say that like you cannot
leave your vehicle and things like that.
Yeah, correct. So once you are on this road, you're supposed to. So what if you break down and stuff like that? They kind of also like give. So it's similar to what the British military police
has put out back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's, if I'm not wrong, there's also another border crossing. Yeah, there's another border crossing that is like kind of like that, where you have to leave your own country to go back to your own country, which is, if you look on the map, it's called Point Roberts. So Point Roberts is in a place that is attached to mainland Canada, but it's part of the US.
Yeah, but
because of the way the parallel is drawn, right?
Yeah.
So it's this tiny slither, this tiny spot of America that's like in Canada.
But at least it's still not that scary to go through Russian territory
well, Americans going back to America and you're going through Canada, okay still not so bad. Yeah, but it's basically in the northwest American border.
We are open to review.
We are open to review.
Yeah.
We are open to review, and also, but just please don't lie to us. Say you're subscribed to us, lah. I just caught someone who did that, I think.
Maybe it's not registered yet. Okay, we don't be too presumptuous.
Don't too presumptuous. Must fact check first.
Must not be.
I did not say who. So because I did not say who, that person cannot sue me for defamation. Yeah, it's just, but we must fact check. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have noticed so far is that this week we have went with new microphones, so hopefully the audio quality has also increased in quality. Also, please let us know.
Yes, please let us know, because we just like vanity. Yeah.
Actually, more because we are geeky, that we want to know whether there's really a difference from an audience perspective.
Yeah. Any feedback, please tell us personally. I mean, if you are friends if our friends, please tell us. If you want to be our friends, please put it in the comment section.
Yeah, and subscriptions welcome. If you are able to share it with someone who you think would like our content.
Yeah, I mean, really interact with us, right? If you have comments, put them on our Instagram pages. You can put it on YouTube. We do respond to comments.
Or you can always reply on our reels and stuff like that.
Yes, we do. We really do value nuance and perspective. In fact, I think our last episode, we had a new perspective come up. Yeah. And like we were talking about the PHV thing, right? And it turns out that maybe the taxi companies also have a say in this and making it big for themselves.
True.
Yeah. So, we never know. So thank you very much for listening to us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep. So see you in our next episode.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.